Hello, BookShark BootCamp. It is your community manager, Jana, and today is Wednesday, August 28th. This is our last session of weekly boot camps. This is our bonus session. If you are new to our group, I want to say welcome. I don't want you to feel like you have missed out in any way. At any time, you can go to the guide tab underneath the main banner on our group page and click through the different sessions that we have done over the last 9 weeks. Our boot camp is set up to start in the beginning of July and it runs through the end of August. It's a weekly live video that goes over instructions from box day, how to organize your books, how to plan out your year, your day, ways to stay organized, and how to balance all the things. Those titles will be able to help you find exactly what you're looking for or the help that you need if you are brand new to BookShark and you feel like you've missed out maybe and not been a part of it when it began in July. All of those are available for replays through the guide tab. Just really want you guys to feel like you have plenty of time to still get prepared. Don't feel like because your curriculum hasn't shown up at your door yet, or you're just getting into the boot camp at the end of August that you've missed out, because you haven't. We have got you covered. Those videos, again, underneath the guide tab under the main banner of our page. So today's session is our last weekly session. We call it our bonus session. It's session 9, and I am basically going to be just giving you guys a few tips and tricks on how to now start implementing all the things that we have talked about. We have really covered a lot of content over the last 8 weeks. You guys have had some great questions. I want to thank the community for coming alongside those who have posted questions. You guys are doing a great job supporting each other and really sharing your ideas. And that is the heart behind Boot Camp. It's not only to prepare you for your year with BookShark, but it's also to create a community for you so that you can get those questions answered, that you can come on here and feel like you are heard and you know that the people who are listening to you are also going through it themselves. Sharing what is working for you is helpful for others, and sharing the things that aren't working for you is also helpful because you're probably not the only one that's feeling that way. So, again, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Continue to go back and refresh when you need to. But today I'm going to just speak to briefly the idea of timing your days. That's something that we didn't really talk about. You guys have access to the calendar that you can print and put in your 144 book days, your 36 elective days, your vacations, your flex days, your field trips. But I want to talk a little bit about what your day to day will look like. I mentioned this briefly last week, but if you go on our website, bookshark.com, go to the level that you've purchased, and if you've not done an all subject package, you can go to the individual subjects, and at the bottom of those pages it will tell you the daily time requirements. So I'm just going to read off what I have for each level. Now these are for all subject packages, so again you'll have to go to individual subjects to kind of get a better idea. But level A, you're looking at about an hour and a half to 2 hours for your students, and about an hour to an hour and a half of parent time. As I go through these levels from the younger ages to the older ages, you're going to see how the parent involvement starts dipping down as the student involvement starts coming up. And that is purposeful in BookShark. We really want to help create independent students who are prepared to go on and be productive members of society. I think that's all of us as parents, our goal, right, is to make sure that our children are, fitting in and doing what they were made to do and doing it well. So level B, you're going to be approximately 2 to 3 hours for the student and then 1.5 hours for the parent. Level C, 2 to 3 hours, parent involvement, same 1.5 to 2. Level D jumps to 3.5 to 4.5 hours, and the parent involvement jumps to 2 to 3 hours. And I want to remind you, if you're new to BookShark, or explain to you if you're new to BookShark, that level D is a transition level. So levels A, B, and C, you can pair different language arts levels within those all subject packages. There is a wide variety of ability in those ages. You have some 5-year-olds who are learning to read, and you have some 7-year-olds who are still really in the grasping of how to read. And so we don't want a family to be feel stuck in one level, you can move through. We also pair our levels with if you have multiple children. So that is why A, B, and C, you can pair your language arts and customize K, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like you can customize math in all of our levels. So when you get to D, D is integrated with history, language arts, and history. So what you're reading about in history directly correlates what they are learning about and reading on their own for their readers, and then that's used in the writing, grammar, and mechanics. So that's how D is a transition level. So you can get either reading levels 3rd and 4th grade or reading levels 5th and 6th grade. So just a quick explanation there. So you're going to have more time requirement because the students are really starting to be a little bit more independent. The books that they're reading are taking a little bit longer because there's an expectation of their age and their reading and writing ability. So level F through high school, the recommended daily time allotment is about 4 to 6 hours. And that 2-hour difference could be because you have different styles of math that we offer, and it really depends on how quickly or how much time your student needs for math concepts. Also, how quickly your student reads. So if you have a quick reader, then obviously you're going to be on the lower end of the time requirements. If you have a slower reader, then you're going to be on the higher end of those. And there's no right or wrong, but it's just to give you guys an idea as you're setting up your day, if you're getting ready to gear up. Some of us don't start until after Labor Day. That's definitely me. I know Sharon, our advisor, doesn't start till after Labor Day. We are a little old school that way. But it just is setting up your day. So you can kind of break down a little bit then what your day is going to look like if you start at 8 or if you start at noon. Technically, if you started at noon, you'd be done around 4 or 5, depending on what level if you're at the higher ends of the levels. And believe me, if you have teenagers, let them sleep. I promise you, you will not regret it. I pretty much let my daughter sleep in unless we have something that dictates she needs to get up. She definitely has had no issue getting up and going to work when she has worked her part-time job. So I feel like for us, it's a misconception that if she doesn't get up and keep a schedule, she's not going to be able to have a job. She's had no problem having a job because she knows when she needs to get up, she can get up. So that's just my little caveat about letting teenagers sleep, only because I have 3 and they definitely need sleep. All right, so what will be very helpful to you as you're planning out how your day is going to look is remembering your Sunday night planning. And it doesn't have to be Sunday night, but your weekly planning, the time that you're going to sit down and look through your instructor's guide and get familiar with the week so that you are not scrambling on day 1. What book do you need and what was that term you were going to look it up but you didn't get a chance to, like all of those things. If you have a good plan, and it could just take a quick 15 minutes. If you're a morning person, then you do it on day 1 in the morning with your coffee. That's great, but make sure that at least in the very beginning you set some time aside for you to have a planning time so that you are familiar. You're more at ease when you're familiar with something. That ease is going to translate to your kids, and that's going to translate into your homeschool each and every day. So don't overlook taking a few minutes to peruse the weeks of the schedule so that you know what's coming up. All right. Now, we talked about the 20-10 rule. If this is your first session, you're going to want to go back and look up the 20-10 rule. Quickly say you work for 20 minutes and then you take a 10-minute break. That's like the average age. If you have youngers, they're not going to want to sit for 20 minutes. You may have to do the 5-10 rule. You may have to do the 10-5 rule. But the idea is you have very distinct stopping times. So the expectation is set from the beginning for your child that when they start to do this work, they know there's going to be an end and they're going to be able to get up and take a break so that there's not, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, I'm thirsty. Oh, I need to get a snack. The constant starting and stopping, you'll feel like you're not accomplishing anything, believe me. So time blocking for the older students, 45 minutes, 15-minute break, however it works for you, play around with it. But I guarantee you will see more efficiency in your day if you do some time blocking. Now, in those breaks, that's when you want to make sure they are getting up and jumping around or running around the house outside, running around 5 times, or you have a jump rope that they use. Brain breaks don't always need to be physical. You can have the timer go off and then you guys can do like some fun little trivia or something that really engages your child. It doesn't necessarily have to be linked to the curriculum, and it doesn't necessarily on the surface have to look educational, but anytime you give the brain a break from what you're doing, it's going to kind of reset and get them be able to transition back into what they're doing because they have the expectation the timer went off, the break is over, now we're going to finish up what we started if it's not done in that first block. So the lower levels, if you think about whatever your time is going to be, if we use the 2010 rule, then you do that 20-minute reading, you have a 10-minute break. That's one block. That one block per subject. Now, if you're not getting it done in that amount of time, that's okay. You can add another block. But the goal is that it would take about a half hour between your learning and your break for each subject. And that's a way to set up your day so you can kind of have an idea so that you're not going, this is a great curriculum and the schedule is great, but I have no idea how to implement it. This is how you implement it. Now, those upper levels, depending on the age of your student, you want to say maybe 2 to 3 blocks per subject so that they're working on something and you know it's going to take longer, but they still get their systematic breaks because their brains need to be able to walk away. This is science. There's a lot of efficiency experts that will back this up. And then you sit back down and you're back in work mode. Another great way to set up your day is to break up your readings, mornings and evenings. It will take time for you to get used to reading out loud all of the things if you are new to reading out loud. I can talk all day, but if you ask me to read out loud all day, I get exhausted. And here's why. I am decoding the words, right, as I'm taking them in. And then I have to process the words and then I have to spit them back out in the right tone and in the right cadence. So it's a lot of work. And give yourself grace as you're starting into this program when there's a lot of reading out loud. If your student is not an independent reader, or if you guys can't find things on the audio, which is just another pro tip, find as much audiobook as you can because it takes off some of the pressure for you as a parent. And maybe you do like to read out loud and you could read out loud all day long. Wonderful. I will just say that typically, if it's not something you have been doing, it's something that you have to kind of build a muscle up for yourself as the parent who's reading out loud. So break it up. Maybe it's easier to get breakfast going and you to start reading something out loud while they're eating their breakfast, and then you can take a break, work on some paper and with a pencil, and then go back to reading again. And really encourage if you have a partner in your home with you or an older student, let them read out loud as well. And my main thing, number one, you're going to hear me say again and again and again, utilize audiobooks as much as you can. Now, here's another way to plan your day. Science. If you're using an all subject package with BookShark or you're just using science with BookShark, you will notice that the amount of literature in science is less than the amount of literature in history. There's a lot of reasons for that. So science can be done, and this was a question that was posed in our 2024 boot camp. Can I do 2 days of science, 2 days of science? Absolutely. You guys have autonomy with this program. I am a AB personality, so I at least want to get it done in the week that I have scheduled it, but I am not so tight in my personality that I have to get it all done the way it's set up. So we definitely had done 2 days of science on one day, 2 days of science on another. Let's get crazy and even suggest that you hold off on all your science experiments and at the end of the month do a review and do 4 science experiments in one day. I know that's crazy, but that frees up some of your time too if you do feel like it's a lot for you, especially in the beginning. There's ways that you can tweak this so that it really works for you and your family. All right. Now, I also want to give you permission to reset. And what does that look like? Let's just say, maybe this happened in my house, that my daughter was doing handwriting without tears and she literally was crying crocodile tears onto the paper. And I said, can you close your book for a second? And she was like resistant. And I said, please close your book. And so she closed the book and I said, what does the title of the book say? And she said, handwriting without, and then she starts laughing because it's handwriting without tears and yet she's crying. So a really simple reset is to literally close the book, walk away. You can use either a phrase if you need to. My kids know that if I start to get a little sing-songy and I'm like, okay, here we go, they know that I'm reaching my limit. And let's be honest, we all have limits and that's okay. Let's learn as a family how to recognize each other's limits and then to honor those limits. So reset. If I start to sing song, my kids know, okay, Mom, let's just take a break. Let's just walk away. So I've trained my kids to be able to help me reset. But coming into this, it's really helpful for you to be able to train your kids. It's okay to reset. One of our twins was having really big emotions and when she was around 8 years old, and we had her read through a book with a counselor, and she kind of started to absorb some of the tools that she was given, and she would just have an explosive episode at the breakfast table, and then she would say, can I just go back to my room and start over today? And we would say, absolutely. And we wouldn't bring it up again. And then she would start her day over and we could move forward from that episode. I can't be the only one who's had these type of experiences. So when you feel the pressure building, when you feel the emotions getting high, when you feel like you are pulling teeth to get something done, I want to give you permission to close the book, to go for a walk outside, to put on, have a list of favorites in your YouTube of educational videos that you have pulled out in your Sunday planning. That's your go-to. Let's just take a break and watch a video. Nobody talk. Also, last week we talked about homeschooling without burnout and self-care, putting in your headphones for just a few minutes and, listening to some soothing sounds. Or for me, it's 90s jam. I love to get on my 90s jam. It just brings me like feelings of joy. So different things like that where you can just set the timer, because what you don't want to happen is for you to lose your entire day if it's not necessary, okay? But these things happen, you guys. Life happens, and we want to keep it real here at BookShark for you. And we know I use the program. I'm a homeschool parent. I was homeschooled. Our advisors are homeschool parents. We're not here selling you a bill of goods that, oh, this is just the perfect thing. The birds will be chirping and they'll come on your windowsill and, they'll start folding your laundry. It's not going to happen. All right. Unfortunately, you're going to have to fold your laundry, or your kids are going to help you fold your laundry. But when you're planning out your day, when you're getting started, there's going to have to be a lot of grace given for yourself first as the instructor, and then for your children as the students. So, all right, use the seasons to your favor. If it's really nice out still where you're at, get outside. Take those books to the park. Get out on the trampoline and let them jump while you're reading. Take a nature walk. I mean, so many things in the fall. Incorporate, anything you can that is part of your curriculum. Do it outside when the weather is good. Then as the seasons change, we are not super wintry people. We used to live in Colorado. We never skied. My kids did not like to be out in the cold. I loved to snowshoe. Nobody would go with me. So we have relocated to North Carolina. This will be our first winter. I will keep you posted on how this is all going. But utilize the seasons, the activities that come along with them. And as winter approaches, if you are in our hemisphere and you start to slow down a little bit, that's okay. That's okay. Just go with the rhythms of life and don't let the curriculum dictate to you how your day is going to go. You're going to tell your curriculum how it's going to work for you and your family. One last thing I just want to say, which has been a lifesaver in my home, is meal planning. There is nothing worse than getting to the end of the day and being super hangry and then not knowing what to eat for dinner. Okay, like that's probably my worst nightmare, my worst scenario. So I am have breakfast, but now I gotta make sure I know what's happening for dinner so I can either run to the store during lunch break or take out something from the freezer to thaw it. And I know this is so basic, you guys, but it's something that I think if you don't be intentional about, it will sneak up on you. I'm a meal planner. I plan my meal, I grocery shop, and then I hopefully have everything that I need for the entire week. I personally don't meal prep on the weekends. That sounds awful. I do not want to be thinking about what I'm going to be eating on Friday during the week. But if that works for you, then do it. Get your kids involved. If you have children who are able, they could be helping you. I don't want to say they have to be helping you. That's however your family works. But I will say I encourage my children to take a night and make a meal. The joy is if you've made the meal, you don't have to clean up the meal. So I like to cook a lot because I don't necessarily like to clean. But, make it fun. Give everybody a job. Don't feel like you have to do it all yourself. Do not fall into that trap because you will feel overwhelmed so quickly and you don't have to. Plan on the nights that you're going to be super busy to either do a crock pot meal or make sure that's the night that you guys grab a takeout, whatever. Again, I know this seems so basic, but I just want to remind you that holistically thinking about how your family works, not just narrowly focusing in on how you're going to get through your homeschool day, because it's all connected. And I understand that, and I want you to be so successful. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure, again and again and again. But your homework. I want to know how your days are going. Not necessarily, you don't have to, if you want to show us your schedule that you've created, great. I love to see that too. I don't want you to feel like, oh, well, why is she doing the same level as me and it's only taking her this long and it's taking us so much longer. I don't want to get into that, but I do want you guys to post pictures or comment about how it's going for you. What's working well? What are you and your kids most excited about as you start the curriculum? You can have an idea, but it's not until you actually implement things and really start doing it that you can have a full understanding of the beauty of the journey that you have decided to take. So, here's another thing. One last thing. I guess I keep saying one last thing. I'm going to be done. I promise. If you find that you have created a realistic schedule based on the daily time requirements that BookShark has put out, and it is taking you far too long and you are missing that by hours, I want to throw in a few things here. Sometimes some personalities just tend to be a little bit more drag their feet, let's say. Okay, so if you know that it's not because your student is struggling, but they're just being a little bit more, I don't know, I always called mine a treasure. So how do you put that in a verb? Treasurish, treasury, I don't know. Would you set the timer, you've moved, you're just gonna move on. And if they don't get it done, that's when they have to do homework. And in homeschool, you shouldn't have homework, but if it's something that they're creating or wasting time over, put the timer on, the subject block is done, they didn't get it done in time, you close it up, you move on, they can go back to that. So when your day is over and their friends are getting off the bus, they're coming out to play because it's still nice out, then they need to sit down and finish it. And that will kind of help teach them not to waste time that they have during the day so they can do the things they want to do later. That also helps kind of take away that fight and that annoyance on your part that, this is the time, and if you're not done, then you shut up and you can't X, Y, or Z this afternoon until you go back and you finish it. Just a suggestion. Also, in those break times, get the body moving. A lot of protein throughout your day. It's something that I wasn't super aware of, but I have done a lot of education lately about sugar and what we eat and how it reacts with our body. And so while I'm not a no sugar person, that would be so against everything I believe. I am a high protein person. So think about that. Have high protein snacks and you will maybe see a difference in your kids. I have one friend who started homeschooling and she wouldn't even let her kids talk to her until they ate some hard boiled eggs. I think they eventually found other forms of protein, but it's a great form of protein, but let me tell you, I don't think I could stomach it every single day. But high protein, you could really see a difference. And if it does, what does work for you? Maybe that's not it. Maybe something else does. I would love to hear that. Okay, I'm just looking over my notes. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Our first live session is actually going to be Monday, September 9th. I'm going to post it later this week. It's with Stephanie Cavan. She is a full-time working mom who homeschools. She actually is a California teacher who homeschools her kids. And she is going to come on and share with us how she homeschools while working full-time. She has some great tips and tricks and scheduling and ideas. And so I'm super excited to talk to her and share that with you guys. Again, it's going to be Monday, September 9th. I will post some stuff. One more thing. All right, we are creating this year a brag board. So we are going to ask you guys to submit your kids' work throughout the year, and then we will post those on our brag board. You'll get a better idea when I put up the post later today to see what I'm talking about, but it's a fun way for you guys to share not only the progress that you're making in your homeschool, but the excitement that your kids have about completing things, and then you can show your kids that they've been featured on the brag board. So I hope you will enjoy that. I hope you will participate. All right, I'm done talking. If you guys have questions, we're going to have a Q&A posted for September. Put any of those in there. You can always send me direct messages. You can post your questions on our page. You can reach out to our advisors. If you have issues with customer service, we have an amazing team. Again, welcome to BookShark, those who are new, and I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be an exciting year. Enjoy your Wednesday. Have a great 3-day weekend. Happy Labor Day to all of you out there. And I will see you next week on our first Real Life and Homeschool. Until then, you guys, bye bye.